Welcome to another episode. In this one, we look at whether the IT services sector, whether it has reached its saturation point after a long years of growth. So we will look at in detail. We look at a few of the parameters and check whether it has reached its saturation point and what is the way forward for it. We look at the different parameters. So this is the our topic of discussion. So there are three parameters we need to look at. So these are the parameters. What has happened on the headcount side and the utilization side on as well as on the margins as well. So if you look at the headcounts, if you're following up with the IT services right from 90s, late 90s, that is particularly after the Y2K problem, because Y2K problem is year 2000. That was the problem which has boosted the IT services companies headcount as well as the value as well as the capability of the Indian IT professional. So year 2000 onwards is what we have seen year after year the growth. The headcount has always have been growing in the IT services. That is particularly on the Wipro, Infosys, TCS, and particularly Cognizant. The big four has always grown on the headcounts. It was sometimes 30%, sometimes 50%, and large chunk of the recruitment was from the various engineering colleges on all of the decades starting from 2000 to 2010. They have been always in the upward, either from always to 20% to onwards and above than that. So this was has been happening, but recently in the last quarter, surprisingly, after the years of growth, the headcount has really come down. Even in 22, that is year 22, there has been a growth in spite of COVID. There has been a growth, but last year it has, last quarter of FI, that is 23, 24, there has been a drop. So all the companies, Wipro, Infi, TCS, except for HCL, there has been a drastic reduction, and total overall there is you call it whatever way you want, you call it through voluntary, uh, through resignations or involuntary forced resignation, these numbers have come down. So this is the first time we are seeing the net additions have come down in all four of them. That is the first indicator that something is not well on the IT services sector side. So headcount is dropping. Number two is utilization. Utilization, yes, that's a positive point. Utilizations have been, if you look at the Y3 QY4 that is indicated here, and as well as the Y3, it has actually utilizations have gone up. Utilizations has gone up. That is, of course, the positive sign. But the point to note here is the excess flab, probably in the maybe in the middle layer, or the IT services is if you are someone is on a bench for a longer time, maybe over a period. Earlier the bench time they were accommodating their consultant to be on a bench for maybe 6 months or even 8 months, but now it has come down. Probably they are either through voluntary process or involuntary process, they are not allowing any kind of a bench period. For a period of, what I heard is they are not allowing more than 45 days of if a consultant is on bench. That is one factor. The other factor is, of course, apart from that, these days methods like agile project management as well as Scrum are being used, where there are nothing like a dedicated project managers are going to be involved. So it is more of a, each one takes up a role and perform the task related to the project, whether it is on the functional side or on the technical side. So that's where like more and more pruning is done on the management side, particularly as project manager or practice manager or delivery managers. So that layer is shrinking. So that's where like it's directly billable to the project. That is what is happening. That's why the utilization rate you see it is increasing, which was earlier very less. So though it's a positive point, this is also the reason for the headcount reduction in the IT services sector. They are looking at more and more profit. So that is another parameter as why what was working well 20 years back or 15 years back or even 10 years back, it's not working now. The other point is, this is very important, the profit operating margin, we see a increase. If you look at early 2000, year after year, or rather quarter after quarter, the operating margin has been upward of 30% and above. Even the net profit, there are times even the net profit, if you look at the net profit, it is less than 10% mostly these days. But those days, that is around 2000, the profit margin, even profit, just the operating margin is um, after your just for the operation purpose, that is prior to taxation and all. So operating margin has come down after a big jump of margin profits in quarter immediately after the breakout of COVID pandemic. It is dropping down, but there is a reason for it. Why, in spite of COVID, the margins were doing very well? There is a reason for it. Any guesses? So there was a during the COVID time or the pandemic time, the approach was different. So it was every company was operating in the work from home concept. There are companies like Cognizant which gave up real estate spaces, more and more real estate spaces, and saved on supporting operating services. Even the top management gave indication that work from home is the future model. And there are indications like even I heard like TCS top management saying that 2025, I mean, about certain percentage will work from home. But these days, I see them reverting back to the old model of back to office. Once you are back to office, all the support services, you need the support services and the real estate as well, and all the you need, like if you take a city like Bangalore, you have a crisis, water crisis is there. So once you're going into the model of offices, then the basic services of electricity, your water, all that is required, and that is going to add up to the cost. So you are back to the model, old model of work from office rather than work from home. Your workforce was earlier distributed not just in Bangalore, but it was across different cities within India. You could work from anywhere. So even from a tier 2 city or tier 3 city, even from village, people were working from home. So normally, or naturally rather, I would say, the operating profit is going to come down. So that is what is hitting IT services these days. So naturally, it has become a decade low. We are witnessing that is 23.2% is what it has come down recently in the last quarter. The profit, that is the operating margin before your interest, taxes, depreciation, it has come down. So it is always that the work from home could be a better model, but now the mantra seems to me back to office. So all these indicators, I mean, three indicators we saw. All these indicators is that indicating that the IT services has reached the saturation point, and you need to evolve so that the model is sustained. That's a question we need to see. So if you look at any product as such, you will see a hype stage, saturation stage, then a drop, and then there is a hype stage. It will trigger it, and then it will fall, and then you'll slowly the growth is slow, and finally it will come down. This is for the product, but I think this is applicable for the IT services sector also. So if you look at it, year 2000 is what, from year 2000 there was a hype. It was super super growth was there. This was still up to 2008. That is where the first meltdown happened. The financial services meltdown happened in US. That is where the 2008 was the first time we had heard about the layoffs in Indian industry, Indian IT industry. Layoffs happened in 2008. Prior to that, the layoffs, never heard of layoffs in the IT services. We heard the first round of layoffs in 2008. Then there was a drop. There was a sluggish demand, and then again 2012 onwards we saw growth, and then we hit upon the COVID, and 2023 is what we are seeing impact on all of them. That is, the headcount is coming down. We see an increase in the utilization because you need to cut cost, and We also see on the operating margin, still in spite of this utilization going up, the operating margin coming down. So what does all this indicates? So you need to evolve the model. So what is that we will see in the future? There are future, we'll see that smaller companies, you need to adopt to work from home. The gig economy, the gigs is that freelance economy. You take up a project, this is growing at a huge phase. It's going, you can sit from anywhere and do a project. A freelance consultants is working on the gig economy, this is going to go up as well. So smaller companies work from home gigs, that is one approach way forward. That is going to grow very faster rate. The other one is of course the product companies, particularly the software as a service model. Smaller companies, 20, 30 people, having some kind of a software as a service, be it on CRM product or whatever, or even small products like apartment services product. So there are small software as a service model is going to grow. That is where you will see a huge growth. Not only huge growth, you will see more salary on this segment, software as service, because you can cater to the entire world. You can have a product which is running on the cloud, and because it is catering to the entire world, and because of the cost advantage of developing in India, because of due to the exchange rate, you will see more and more companies, smaller companies, moving towards software as a service model rather than the IT product service. So these two, I believe, it's going to be the future direction for the IT companies based out of India, because you need to be small in size, work from home, or adapt to a work from home culture, or probably if you're a loan consultant who has a niche skills, then gig economy could be the way forward. Or the product companies as with software as a service, that will be a huge growth area. We will see the necessary momentum there as well. I hope you found this presentation useful. Do subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Cheers.